In Absolute Wonder Woman, Diana was exiled by the gods and cast into hell as an infant, where she was raised by the witch Circe. On her barren island home, she learned magic and discipline, but also taught the other inhabitants a thing or two about kindness and compassion. When she eventually escaped into the mortal world, she arrived as a protector, defending Gateway City from demons. After saving the city, she confronted the imbalance infecting modern civilization, and Diana was entrusted with a higher purpose: restore balance to a world that has mistaken control for justice. But hope is destabilizing in the Absolute Universe, and the people who benefit from imbalance have taken notice. At the center is Veronica Cale, the director of the mysterious Area 41. Cale is not simply a corporate titan or a government contractor. She's part of this world's Justice League. And to be clear, they are not heroes, but elites, power brokers, individuals who collaborate behind closed doors to ensure that no symbol grows powerful enough to inspire the public to demand change. They believe that the universe inherently skews towards evil. It was created by Darkseid after all. And they believe that their way of doing things is true and just. So to them, Diana is becoming a bit of a problem. Rather than risk turning her into a martyr, Cale has chosen to be more strategic. Instead, she plans to ruin her reputation. Senate hearings have begun questioning Wonder Woman's presence. Whispers frame her as a dangerous sorceress, a princess of hell, influencing the populace. Every act a tiny chip knocked out of her public image. But Cale's most calculated move was the release of Zatanna from the depths of Area 41. Bound, imprisoned, and now coerced into service, Zatanna cast a spell that severed Diana from most of her magic. Not entirely, but enough to make her vulnerable in the precise way that Cale requires, and she did not stop there. Cale has unleashed her Suicide Squad, consisting of Zatanna, Dr. Poison, Cheetah, Giganta, and Ara, Queen of the Fishmen, not Nina Mazursky as I had speculated in the last video. They are a collection of dangerous prisoners infected with parasitic control mechanisms that look an awful lot like Starro the Conqueror. Many of them are Wonder Woman's traditional rogues in the mainline universe, and they've been unleashed during an exhibition of Amazonian artifacts at the Natural History Museum. With the cameras rolling and an audience of influential guests, the squad start their dirty work. Now, I was expecting this to be a story of Diana being taken under Cale's control at last, and forced to do things that would tarnish her reputation, but that is not what happens at all. Remember how Zatanna was first presented in an earlier issue bound and gagged like some sort of malevolent psychopath? Well, it turns out that isn't the case at all. Zatanna has her own goals and objectives and has been playing Cale. The straitjacket and muzzle were intended to keep her bound, not keep people safe from her. As soon as she arrives, Zatanna uses her binding spell to take control of Diana's magic, as we saw in the last issue. But instead of making Diana do terrible things, Zatanna uses Diana's magic to free herself, saying, and this is for people that struggle to read things backwards, Zatanna Zatara, mistress of magic, first of her name, daughter of Giovanni Zatara, the eternal flame, and Cindella, last of her people. Free her, purge the parasite. This makes her throw up the parasite that had a hold on her, and the moment she got free, she left, thanking Diana before teleporting away and breaking the spell on her. Now obviously Cale is furious. Her attempt at controlling both Diana and Zatanna has failed before it even got started, so she resorts to violence. Although despite being influenced by Cale's parasites, half of the team really aren't into the idea of fighting. I thought it was very funny how Diana addressed Dr. Poison, saying that she thought she had been pretty clear when they last met. Be good or else. And Poison implies that she's not fully in control of herself. And Diana's response is perfect, binding her in a bubble and launching her away. This leaves Cheetah, Giganta, and Ara. Of the three, Giganta and Cheetah are the most keen on violence. I particularly enjoyed how Giganta quotes Jack and the Beanstalk, promising to grind Diana's bones to make her bread. It's in her name, I guess. It's grotesque and theatrical, and I'm surprised nobody had thought of it before. And Diana's response is to match her. As Giganta grows, Diana grows. Each time the threat increases, Diana uses her magic to get bigger, until the two of them are towering like kaijus wrestling each other. And while Giganta shows no concern for anyone else's safety, including her teammate Cheetah, who inadvertently gets knocked out, Diana still protects the people, telling them to get to safety. She absorbs impact rather than deflecting it into the city. If this was meant to prove she's dangerous, it backfires spectacularly. The camera doesn't capture a hellborn tyrant, it captures a guardian. Eventually, Diana chokes Giganta unconscious and casts a simple, almost merciful spell: sleep. The fight ends through restraint. And doesn't that just perfectly represent Wonder Woman? Cale's assault on Hope has turned into a public relations disaster, but it's at that point that the ace up her sleeve arrives, a flaming sorcerer. Diana notes that he uses blood magic, which is very powerful and also very dangerous, as we've previously established, and most importantly, he also speaks spells backwards. He kills Cheetah and weaponizes her blood, casting a spell to burn the witch and melts Diana's magical prosthetic arm. They don't reveal his identity, but I think there are plenty of clues. The most obvious one is the fact that, while he is a skeleton, you periodically get glimpses of his human form in the flames. He's a young man wearing a top hat. Couple that with the fact that he practices backward spell casting, and it's impossible not to think of Giovanni Zatanna, at least impossible for me. In the mainline universe, Zatanna the Magician was one of the earliest heroes. He debuted in Action Comics #1 in 1938, the same issue that introduced Superman. Here he was a stage magician who fought crime by speaking spells backwards, but later continuity established him as part of the Homo Magi, a lineage naturally attuned to magic. Arguably, his biggest contribution was his daughter Zatanna. Her earliest stories centered on searching for her missing father, who had been cursed and forced into hiding. Eventually the spell was broken and the family was reunited, but Zatanna met a gruesome end. In one of DC's darkest magical storylines, Zatanna ultimately sacrificed himself to save his daughter, dying engulfed in flames while protecting his child from a supernatural horror. Upon seeing this flaming skeleton, I immediately thought of Zatanna's death. Now consider Zatanna's freedom spell in this issue. Diana notes that she learned many of Zatanna's names through it, and in this universe names have power. Across myth and mysticism, a true name has power. It is a person's essence. In many traditions, knowing someone's real name grants power because it connects you to the core of their being. In ancient Egypt, a person's Ren was part of their soul. In European folklore, fae and demons guard their names because once spoken, they can be bound or undone. Think of the story of Rumpelstiltskin. The idea is consistent. Language in magical lore is structural. To know a true name is to gain leverage over identity itself. In Absolute Wonder Woman, magic clearly follows that tradition. Zatanna's freedom spell lists her lineage and titles as sources of authority. Zatanna Zatanna, daughter of Giovanni Zatanna, the Eternal Flame. Hint, hint. That naming is functional. She frees herself by invoking who she truly is, and at the same time she potentially gives Diana the means to protect herself, assuming that the flaming sorcerer is indeed Giovanni Zatanna. And in a universe where identity fuels magic, that knowledge could be more decisive than strength. Not necessarily because it lets her destroy him, but because it may allow her to reach him. Absolute Wonder Woman 17 is available now from all good comic shops.
I would encourage you to research your local comic shop, and if you don't have one, I'm certain there are dozens of good stores nearby that would be happy to mail you your comics. If you're opposed to the idea of cluttering up your home with comic books, then you can get this one digitally from places like Amazon as well as Neon Ishiban. Personally, I prefer physical comics, but I do like the convenience of having thousands of comic books accessible from my phone. But you do what works best for you.
For those that are interested in my physical collection, this week I returned to the scene of the murder of my wallet and picked through Gosh Comics' last remaining vintage Batman comics from their recent event. I found a copy of Batman 66 from 1951, the infamous Joker's Comedy of Errors story. If you know, you know. Next time. I'll be back shortly to talk about Absolute Martian Manhunter #9, where the Martian finds himself in the clutches of the mysterious agency, while Agent Jones plunges the depths of despair. And next week I'll release 3 videos. Up first, Absolute Superman #17, where the Man of Steel and Hawkman must put aside their differences to protect Metropolis from the plague of the parasite. Following that, I'll be discussing Absolute Green Lantern 12, where Jo finds herself without her ring and face to face with the Obsidian Beast. And finally, Batman #7, where the Cape Crusader learns about Dr. Zella's star patient in room 10. Yeah, it's the Joker, but is it possible that he's been cured? We'll find out. Hope to see you then.